Hello, lovelies, yoga friends. Let's grab a blanket if you'd like it for your knees and a couple of blocks if you have them. If not, you could do all this without anything at all, of course. Just makes you a little more comfortable possibly. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let's start seated in a child's pose today. So coming to the back part of your mat. Just taking a moment and just bring big toes closer together and the knees maybe just a little wider apart. And we'll slowly just come all the way down. You can find the place that's most comfortable for you by either resting your head on the floor, on the back of your hands, or even on another prop if you'd like. So just take a moment here, kind of wiggle yourself around, just shifting a little bit side to side, letting your rib cage really drop down. Maybe even in between the thighs. Your hips are heavy, sinking back towards your heels. Starting to find deep breath here. So inhaling through the nose, let your ribs expand, your back expands. Shoulders stay relaxed. Every breath that you take in, try to see if you can lengthen that breath out just a little bit more, and then lengthening the exhale just a bit longer than the inhale. Taking just 2 more deep rounds of breath. Beginning to walk the hands forward toward the top of the mat. Go ahead and separate the fingers wide, lift the chest just a little bit so you can gaze slightly ahead, and walking your hands big steps all the way over to the left, as far off the mat as you can, and sliding the right hand up a little bit further, stretching out through the right side waist and in between the ribs. So take a moment here on your next exhale. See if you could also let your right side drop just a little further toward the floor. You can let your head fall, maybe even looking under the left arm. Slowly coming back through center and then over to the right. Same thing, just slide the left hand as far up as you can. Take a deep breath in through the left side waist, in between the ribs. On your exhale, try to drop the left side just a little closer to the floor. Coming back to center. As you take a deep breath in, reaching forward, and then slowly coming up into just a little tabletop position. Knees are right underneath the hips. And we'll go back and forth just a few times this way. So just flatten out the tops of your feet. Take a breath, and then as you exhale, start to shift your hips back, keeping your back as flat as you can. Coming back up into table, ribs are drawn in. And then exhale, shifting back. Really let your sit bones sink back, stretching through the glutes. And 2 more times. You do feel a little core activation here through the front body and deep inside. And last one, inhale. Exhale, coming back. And then as you come back up into your tabletop, just take a moment, walk the hands forward now for a little puppy. So we'll open the shoulders a little more. Your arms could be slightly wider, maybe to the corners of your mat even. As you drop your head down, whether it's resting on the floor or maybe grab an extra prop or a block that you could put under the head if it doesn't feel comfortable. Try to draw the rib cage back in so that you're not really arching in your back, but you're drawing your ribs in, rolling your biceps up toward the sky, so there's a rotation in the arms. And taking 2 more rounds of breath here. Try to take some weight into the tops of your feet as well. Start to slide your hands back just a little bit so that you can start to lift up easier. And then as you're continuing to reach your hands forward ahead of your shoulder line, turning the toes under behind you, lifting up and pressing back into downward facing dog. Let your heels sink as comfortably as you can. And then coming back down, inhale to the knees. Exhale back into child's pose. So just combining those two now. Inhale coming up. And exhale pressing back. So just moving every breath, moving through table with inhale. And then exhale, pressing back. Just alternating between your child's pose and your down dog. Take the last 4, so 4 more complete rounds. Find your rhythm with your breath. You can have your eyes remaining open or closed here. I like to close the eyes, moving through these movements with the breath. That really helps to tap in to what's happening internally. Every time the hips sink back, try to sink back a little bit further. We'll take 1 more full complete round. So ending with your last down dog. So as you pause in your last down dog, just take a moment, 3 rounds of breath here. Relax your shoulders away from the ears, creating space. Starting to walk the feet toward the hands, and along the way you can even move your blanket just right off to the side. And you can continue your journey up to the top of your mat. We'll inhale, start to slide halfway up, just a flat back, and exhale, lowering down. Inhale, once again, lifting up and sweeping up, hands moving through heart center. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, softly bend the knees, hinging from the hips, folding forward, lifting halfway. And then as you step back, place hands to feet or hands to floor, stepping back into a big plank. You could always drop your knees here if you want that a different modification. Okay, inhale, take a little shift forward, knees down or up, and try to lower your entire body down to the mat. So you could always take those knees down first. Uncurl the toes. Just a little cobra lift. Opening up the chest. Activating the spine. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, press it back. Inhale, gazing forward, walking or stepping your way up to the top. Lifting halfway with an inhale. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, sweeping up. Hands back to heart. And we'll do that again. So inhale, sweeping. Exhale, softly folding. Lifting halfway. Exhale, stepping back, big steps, finding your plank. Always feel free to drop those knees, but stay in plank. Elbows by your side as you slowly lower down. Inhale, little cobra lift, shoulders relax back, feet heavy. Bring it down. Inhale, pressing yourself up from the floor and pushing back into down dog. Another breath here. And then exhale, begin to walk your way up, lifting halfway, inhale, and exhale down. Inhale, gently sweeping all the way up, hands back to heart. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale, slowly coming down. Lifting again. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, stepping back, finding plank. And then gently bring yourself to the mat. Everything dropping at the same time. Inhale, little cobra lift. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale. And push up. Exhale, back. We'll take just a moment here. Go ahead and bring your toes together again as your knees drop out to the sides, pushing back into your child's pose, just like where you started. If you want to give your arms a little break, you can bring hands back by your feet. Just relax your shoulders. Bring the hands back by the knees or just in front of your knees and gently press yourself up. If you'd like to have additional cushion, we will be on the knees again for a moment. So if you'd like to bring that blanket back over, feel free to do so. And we're going to take the blocks to the top for a little added height, or if you prefer, you can just use your fingertips. Just like getting a little extra height here. So from that supported tabletop or elevated tabletop here, we're going to draw that right foot forward. Adjust the back knee a little further back than the hip line. Walk your blocks back and just check out your alignment before we get started. That front knee over the heel, lifting your chest, and try to lift up out of this right hip just a little bit so you're not finding a lot of pressure in the crease of the thigh. So pull up just a little bit with your pubic bones here. We're lifting up and your hip points dialing up just a bit. So as you start here, we're going to bring that right elbow and just rest your forearm across the front thigh. Left arm reaching up, then give it a little tip. So you're just reaching over to the right side. Getting length along that left side waist. Take 2 more rounds of breath. And bring that arm back down. So bringing the palms together right in front of your chest, and now rotating just your chest around so your shoulders, your chest are turning. So it's like you're in, if you were standing, you would be in a position for a warrior 2. Okay, but we're going to drop that right elbow down just a bit along the inside of the thigh and see if you can push into it and rotate back a little further on that left side. Just opening up through the side waist, through the hip. Take another breath. And then as you lift back up, keep your shoulders where they are, pointing the long side of your mat, and then reach the arms out. So again, just like warrior 2, but it's just a modified warrior 2. Check out your front knee if it's falling in. I want you to try to rotate so that that knee draws over to the left more, or excuse me, over to the right more. Just take a little gaze out over your front hand. Flip that front hand, right palm reaches up. We're going to tip it back into exalted warrior. So you can reach your hand toward your calf, your ankle, anywhere behind you that you can easily reach toward, or you can use a block back there as well. Take another breath. Think about getting lifted and long rather than just leaning back. And we'll bring it all back around, dropping that right hand to the floor. Bring the left arm up and over. If it's a little deep, take a block under the hand. And then just circle that left arm down. Now both hands are along the inside. Walk your right foot over and you can take your blocks under your hands if you're using them, or at any level. So high level, medium, or low. Your choice. So any variation that suits you better here. The right foot has walked out to the right side a little bit. We're just going to bend the elbows a little and drop a little deeper into that stretch. And just come back up. So inhale, slowly shifting down. Exhale, bring it up. And one more time, inhale. Exhale, coming up. So you can leave your hands here. If they're on blocks, that's fine. We're going to just sweep that right leg all the way back. Let's pick it up and sweep it back. Straighten it out and lift. Now just cross it behind you. So you made a little crisscross there with the inner thighs. And now sliding back and getting a deeper stretch here. We're not going to land on the outside of the left hip. Rather, just slide back and fold forward. Resting your head. Once again, you can make a little tower with your fists to elevate the ground to your head. Or you can stack your hands or grab a block. Just a couple more rounds of breath. As you turn the toes under on the back foot, reach the hands forward and just kind of shift off of the toes. Lift up and come back. And then we'll turn the toes under and lift up and press back into down dog. Pedal out through the heels. Just do what feels good for you if you want to shift or shake or move at all. And then when you're ready, we'll come back down to the mat. And bringing that left foot forward, using your blocks for height if you'd like, or just your fingertips to the floor. And go ahead and adjust your back leg as well. Start to elevate the chest here, bringing hands either to the thighs or on your blocks. I'm going to bring that left forearm to the thigh, right arm reaching up and slightly over to the left. Getting a nice long stretch down that right side, even down towards your hip flexor as you're drawing your pelvis and lifting up the pubic bone toward the sternum. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. Now, as you stay here, just go ahead and bring your hand back down, palms to center. So I will just flip it around so that I can still see and you can see me. Okay, but you'll just stay there. So hands together, your knee tracking toward left pinky toe side, and rotate your chest around toward that long edge or over to the right side of your mat. So left leg is forward and you're turning to the right. Go ahead and drop that left elbow down just a bit. See if you can push into your thigh and then pull back with the right side. So rather than being directly on top, if that's as far as you can, deep as you can go today, that's okay. If you can come down a little further, try to push the two together. Good. Let's take another breath. And then lift back up. Open up the arms. A little modified warrior 2. Deep breath in. And with your exhale, left hand flips up and reaches up. And just kind of gently reach back behind you with your bottom arm. So left arm is lifted. Same arm as the leg that's in the front. Let's take another breath. Bring it back down. Come all the way toward the floor with that left hand or on a block as you lift your right hand up. Keep pulling back on your right side. Sweep the arm forward. Land both hands along the inside. Walk the left foot over a step or two toward the outer edge of your mat. Grab your blocks if you want extra height or any item that's around you that can give you some extra height here. And hands to some elevated space or on the mat. We're going to drop down a little bit by bending those elbows and back up. So you may want to start a little higher up to begin with. And inhale and down. Exhale, pushing up. Just 2 more. Inhale and exhale. Last one. Come back up. You're going to carefully bring this left leg back behind you so you can start to lift your hips a bit, walk your hands, and then slide that left leg back. Keep it lifted and cross it behind. So from here, shifting back and just folding. Take 2 more full rounds of breath. And then when you're ready, reaching the hands forward, turning the toes under, lifting that knee and shifting forward back to where you were. And we'll turn the toes under, lifting the hips, pressing back again into down dog. From your down dog, just walk your hands and feet toward each other until they meet somewhere, maybe in the middle of your mat. You'll start to roll yourself up gently, hands supporting. Coming all the way to standing. Make sure you're not standing on your blanket. Just step off to the side or move it. Okay. So let's do a little balancing, a little standing balance work here. So keeping your feet separated, toes are spread wide. Balancing on your left leg. We're going to work on just tree pose today. So I want you to bring that right foot in, rotate the knee out. It can land, just start to slide up the inside of the leg, the ankle, or maybe up to the calf. Just try not to place it right on your knee. Move yourself near a wall or a solid surface if you need to kind of change your positioning. Okay, lastly, we can bring that leg up if you're working on that elevated space or higher space here to bring that heel up toward the inner thigh, but it's not mandatory. So if you find that you get there and it doesn't feel right for you, bring it down low. Your toes should be going straight down rather than kind of kicking out. Okay? I want you to draw up, get very long through your torso. Arms can start to reach out. You've got big wide branches. Find a place that you can gaze at. And don't try to take yourself to the highest level just because you feel like you should be there. Right? I want you to go to what feels good for you, where you can stand fairly effortlessly for a few rounds of breath. Let the shoulders relax from the ears. Your branches spread wide, reaching toward the sun, grounding through your trunk, down through your feet and your roots. And when you're ready, let's bring hands together, back to center, and then releasing that foot all the way down. Good, shake it out. All right, take a little moment. That foot that you were standing on, your left foot, go ahead and just rotate that foot like you're gonna draw a circle around the edges of your foot. And then reverse all the way around, inside, outside, front and back. And we'll shake it out a little. Getting ready for the second side. So standing on the right foot. Engage. Just feel like you could, kind of like you were pulling up some tight leggings up your thigh. Get it nice and engaged. Lift up through the chest, but not so much that your ribs are flaring open. And so you want to keep that connection here with your core. Just shift your weight. I like to tap the toe first. It just kind of lets the nervous system know you're about to do something that you're going to require more balance for. Okay, so then starting to rotate that knee out and readjust your hips. So if the right hip swung out to the right, bring it back. Balance here. When you're ready, you can start to slide that foot up a little, maybe a little more, and eventually maybe into the inner thigh. Each side will be different. Don't get discouraged here if this side feels way different than the other side. Start to slowly bring your branches out, reaching up to the sky. Find a softness of your face and your throat, your tongue away from teeth. As you're pressing down through your foot, imagine that you could spread your toes wide without gripping. Find a soft space between the eyes, relaxing around the forehead. Nicely done. Let's take that last breath. Bring hands back. Take a little pause. See if you can hold that for just another breath. And then release it. Shake it out. Very good. So once again, let's just draw that little circle around the edge of the foot. Loosening up that ankle. So these single leg balancing postures are so very important. One, for our core stability, as we use our core to stabilize us throughout the day. And if you start to trip or fall, that's where you need to engage in order not to maybe fall all the way forward. And then secondly, because it helps our ankles and our legs unilaterally. Okay, so that we're not, we tend to, because we're bipeds, we're walking on the earth most of the time with both feet on the ground, but there's those occasions we need to take that and do it single-sided. So this is great for that. All right, go ahead and release that. We'll stand back at the top of your mat. Inhale, sweeping up, big reach. And then exhale, coming all the way down again, lifting up halfway. And bring it down, stepping back into your plank. Variation is up to you. Plank to knees or toes and lowering down through chaturanga. And then up through little cobra. Your cobra may start to grow. You've a little warmed up here. Inhale, push it back up. And then pressing back into your down dog. So inhale, picking up your right foot. And then sweep it forward all the way to the top of your mat. Feel free to use your blocks for extra support here if you want to take those along the edges. Otherwise, we'll just start to sweep up, making sure that you've got your feet separated left and right, so you've got plenty of space here to balance. I want you to lower yourself down just a little. Good. That front knee staying right in line with your heel. Let's bring the right hand to the thigh, lifting left side, reaching over toward the right, keeping hips square. As you bring it back to center, go ahead and bring both hands into the heart, drawing your left heel to the floor as you open up your hips and your chest turns to the left. Opening up, warrior two. Deep breath in. Good, very nice. We're going to bring that right side down, elbow to thigh, or if you can go a little deeper here, drop that hip and bring it along the inside again, and we'll just bring the palms together and rotate back. Now while you're here, we can take that right hand down, left arm up, spreading your wings wide. And take one more breath, and then bring it back up, press through your feet, come all the way up, and continue that with that right arm lifting, left arm down. Last full breath here, and it brings you back around, pausing in your warrior two. Pick up the back heel and start to spiral yourself around. Bring it down, and now slide your right hand along the inside of your right foot, both hands to the inside. Turn the right foot out a bit. I will turn this way to show you. Okay, so we're turning that right foot out just a little bit here. And you're gonna let the knee drop out, just balancing on the pinky toe side of your foot, but make sure that you're not flopping in that ankle. So we want that really nice solid ankle, just like when you were standing. If you'd like to take your left knee down, feel free to do so if that feels better for you. This is always about you and your practice. While we're here, we'll stay for about 3 more rounds of breath. So if you feel like you want to take your knee down, go ahead and do so. If you'd like to walk down a little deeper with your arms to get a deeper stretch in the hip, you could do that as well. Or elevate it on blocks. So if you are lowered to the floor, go ahead and come back up. We'll drop the left knee down if it was not already. And now start to slide your right foot back towards your left hip, and we can drop into a little pigeon stretch. So walking your left foot back. Find any props you have nearby. If you want to place that under your right hip, if it's pretty high up off the floor, just wedge your little blanket or pillow underneath your right hip. And without leaning into it, so I'm not going to lean over into it, but I just want to wedge it where it is. Okay, so meet it where it is, and then you can start to fold forward. Whether it's to your forearms, maybe you have a big blanket or a big blanket you can roll up, or a bolster, or your blocks that you can rest on here. Just start to find a place that you can slowly sink down into, folding forward. With your breath and your next exhale, see if you can bring your bottom hip or your left hip and your foot closer together underneath you. Take about 2 to 3 more rounds of breath here. Check in with your shoulders. Make sure you're nice and relaxed around the shoulders and the neck. through the jaw, the face, the tongue floating in the mouth. Starting to slowly make your way back up. As we press up, find a spot where you can hang out there for just a moment. Lifting through your chest, walk the hands back, pull the shoulders back, relax just a bit. And then we start to work our way out of this pose by bringing the back foot, turning the toes under, walking forward. Now you may have a different method to get out, that's okay, but I like to just kind of walk up out of it a little and then shoot the right leg back and give it a little shake. So do what you need to there, maybe internally, externally rotate it a few times, bend and straighten the knee. And we'll place both feet on the floor, turning toes under, lifting up and pressing back again. And just walk up to the top of your mat, standing forward fold, lifting halfway up, inhale, and exhale, bring it down. Inhale, sweep all the way up. And then bringing the hands back to heart center. I'm just going to switch my position again so you can see. You can stay there. Okay, we'll inhale, sweep up. Exhale, coming down, lifting halfway. We're stepping back into that plank, your variation of plank. Lowering down through chaturanga. Inhale into cobra. Exhale, bring it down, push back into your down dog. Now taking your left leg up, inhale. Sweep it forward, find your position, whether it's lifting up on blocks or whatever you might need to do to get to where you want to be. Okay, so that left leg is forward. Inhale, start to rise. Once you've gotten yourself situated, check out the front knee. It should never be over the toes here. We're just going to keep it really safe. Bring the arms up. We'll take that left hand to the thigh, right arm reaching over, stretching down to the right side. And bring it back to center. So both hands come to the chest and rotate your right heel down. So toes turning out, left knee still tracking over there to the left side in a nice open hip position. So opening into your warrior two. Now if you can bring the hinge here down a little deeper, slide the back foot back. Okay. Give that a shot. And we'll bring the hands together, tipping over into that little variation here that we can push into and pull back. So we get the leverage of pushing and then pulling. Good. One more breath. You can take that left hand down, right arm up, spread your wings wide. Deep breath in. As you exhale, press through your feet and come back up, warrior two, and then continue into exalted warrior, left arm up. Let's come back around, back to warrior two. Lifting your back heels, spiraling forward. And take a little hop if needed. We'll bring those hands down and then bring both hands along the inside of your left leg again and turn the toes out just a little. Start to let that knee drop over to the side as much as is comfortable, but I want you to still try to keep your foot as though you were trying to keep the whole sole of your foot on the floor. If it kind of pops up, it's okay, but I don't want you to increase the wrinkles of the ankle there. Okay, so keep the ankle nice and straight. That right knee can drop down if it feels better for you. If that's where you would prefer to be today, that's fine. A couple more rounds of breath. And lower yourself down even further to get deeper into that left hip. Just make it yours. Okay, so whatever feels most appropriate for you. Getting ready for that pigeon on this side. So we can start to slide. We're coming back up to the hands if you were on the elbows. You're going to slide that left heel kind of at a diagonal underneath you. Let your knee drop out to the side. And then walk back as far as you can. Now, if you're quite high up, grab a bolster or blanket or pillows and just wedge underneath the hips. Just make sure you feel supported there. Okay. Starting to lower yourself down. Check in with the shoulders, the space around your neck, your jaw. Softening in these spaces, taking deep breaths, letting your tongue relax in your mouth. Taking last full breath here. And we'll start to lift up very slowly, walking your hands back. And just kind of lifting through the chest. Relax into it. Take a deep breath. And finding your way out of this stretch by maybe walking forward, or you can lean to one side if that feels better. And slide that leg out. Reach it back. Give it a little wiggle. Maybe some rotations or bending and straightening. And then when you're ready, just take a last big down dog stretch. And then coming back to center. Pressing back into child's pose. Let's come back up before we end our session today. We're going to just come flipping around. So if you have something elevated, you want to take you could do either a bridge position. I want to give you a couple of options. So you can do just bridge here, okay, lying on your back and lifting your hips. Or if you want to place your hands on blocks or just on the floor beside you, kind of slightly back behind your shoulder line. We'll do a little reverse table just to kind of counter everything we've been doing that was forward facing. So shoulders back, relax through your upper body just a bit by kind of pulling up but not scrunching up. Okay, so lifting and just float the hips up and bring it back down. So we don't have to stay real long. Again, if it really puts an additional strain on your wrist or shoulders, just take a little bridge instead. I'm going to keep those elbows softly bent. Lift the hips, kind of take a little tuck in the tail and bring it back down. One more time. Inhale and exhale. And then back down. Take a moment here and just bring the feet together. We will do a little forward bend, but this time open hip forward bend. So we're just going to take those knees out wide. Slowly come forward. Rolling it back up. So you get to choose, as you have throughout your practice. I'm going to let you choose if you want to stay seated or if you'd like to recline back. Maybe it just feels like it's the most appropriate thing for you today is to recline back for your last bit of stillness. If you'd like to stay seated, you might take a little side reach from side to side first. And finding the space that's most comfortable to you to just stay still and quiet for a few rounds of breath. So allowing your shoulders to relax again, eyes may close or just with a very soft gaze between the slits of the eyes. Tuning into your breath, noticing how it will just naturally flow in and out. Feeling all points of contact between you, the mat, the surface that you're on. Feel heaviness. It's just kind of supporting you, resting to the earth. Tongue falling away from the teeth. space between the eyes soft. The eyes themselves heavy into the sockets. So feel free to stay wherever you are for as long as you like. If you are ready to come back and join me once more, just begin by wiggling your fingers and your toes. If you're lying on the ground, you'll bend your knees and just roll yourself to one side. And eventually we just meet seated, the eyes remaining closed or soft. Let's take another big deep breath in, sweeping arms overhead. Let the hands come all the way down. Just take a moment, bowing to your own inner wisdom, your own voice within your heart center that got you here today, that brings you to your mat and reminds you to do things that are good for you. So as you do good for you, you can continue to give to others. And I thank you for being here and letting me share with you. Namaste.